brush is garbage. I'm just going to tell you, the brush is garbage. So, well, good morning, you guys. Well, it might not be morning where you are, but here I am. It's morning. Today's video is really close to my heart. I love a good deal. I don't like to spend money I don't need to. So I really go by the philosophy of use what you have. You move up from there. What we got, we got. So today's little lovely darling piece of artwork is this super cute kitty in a pot. How cute is that? I'm going to teach you how to do this step by step. And I think this is adorable. I can't wait to send this to a special friend of mine. But we are using inexpensive paints. These are the paints I'm using. And I think you're going to like this project. And just remember, if you've got stuff around, let's use it. Anyway, in case you didn't know, I'm Ronnie Walter. I'm a teacher, I'm an artist, I'm a writer, and I'm the originator and creator of a method of drawing called Sketch Cute, which I teach locally and also planning an online course if you guys are interested. I love your comments. I hope these are helpful videos for you. If there's a subject you're interested in or a technique, let me know. I'll try to put that into the next video. Enjoy the project. Bye. Hey everybody, how are you? Hey, we're gonna do something a little bit different today, and it's gonna be so cute. I'm going to use some less expensive paints than what I normally use. Now, everybody starts somewhere, and I am a firm believer in using what you have. And if you don't have high-end, expensive watercolors, that's okay. We're going to show today how you can still make adorable art with student grade or mass market type products that you can find anywhere, or you may even have already. So here's where we're going to start. As usual, we're going to be working on a 4x5 inch piece of paper that I just cut from a bigger pad of paper that I have. Again, using what I have, I try to use up smaller pieces or things from a larger piece that I cut down into these darling little cards. And as I have shown in previous ones, I normally glue them down on a half sheet of other cardstock that I have to make a card. And so when I send these out, they get a cute little original illustration, which is awesome. Okay, we're not doing this design today. That's in another video. Okay, so because I have to draw fairly lightly on my paper, I am showing you basically what we're going to do today, which we're going to put this cat, who has a rather sad look on its face right now, but I'll change that when we get to the actual artwork, with 7 flowers around her or him sitting in a flower pot. Very cute. Leaving a little space down here if I want to say hello or thank you or happy birthday. So this is basically what we're going to be doing. Let me explain the supplies first. So this paper is the paper I normally use, which is a Blick Studios watercolor paper. It's cold press. It has a nice surface to it because it takes the marker well, which of course, you know, I love my line work using some sort of fine marker. Okay, let's talk about the marker. Today I'm going to use this Staedtler pigment liner. It's an 0.3. I always say 0.3, but it's 0.3. And it has just a really nice line. And of course it's waterproof, which we want when we are working with watercolor, and it's archival. I would say this is the one place, well, actually there are two places that if you want to spend a little more money, when you are working with line and watercolor, you want to make sure your ink is waterproof. And you can test that, pens you have around, either with watercolor or just with plain water, to put a line down, let it dry for 30 seconds, and then put a brush across it with a wet brush or even your finger to see if it's waterproof, because you don't want to do a whole line drawing and then put watercolor on top and have it bleed. Not that I know anything about that, but that may have happened once or twice or 3 times. Okay, Also, I have this, it's a Uniball Signo, which is basically it's got the little tab on it. It's brand new. It's got that little thingy on the bottom. Okay, there we go. And this one has been proved. It has a very nice line. And you know I love drawing with ballpoint too. So it has a really nice line to it. And this is waterproof. My other favorite pen is, what do they call those things? It's a Pilot, I forget what it's called. Anyway, it's my favorite writing pen. It does not take watercolor well, I found from experience. So if you don't have like a micron type pen or this kind of a marker, possibly one of your other pens in your stash, because I don't know where our pens just procreate inside drawers, I swear. And so test them out, see if they work. And I do like this one. I use this for more precise sketching when I do kind of live sketching out in the world. I love this pen. Okay, but we're not going to use that one today. Okay, now let's talk about paint. What I'm going to paint today is I'm going to use this set of Prang Oval, the 16 colors. And you can buy this at most hobby stores or online. And I have found the pigment load on this. I'm going to get my paper out of the way just in case there's some schmutz anywhere. It has 16 colors. White. Why they put white in to these? What a waste of a space. Because the white, as we know in watercolor, there is no white. White is the paper. And so it's kind of a weird thing. I've never touched that one because it's weird. I wish they would have given me another color. Anyway, I find these for the money to have a pretty good pigment load. There's some of the colors that are just luscious. And with all of my paints, I do a swatch card. And so this one is in order of the palette, so I know. But you can see there's a really lovely blue that's kind of a phthalo blue. This magenta is like my fave. Lovely deep purple. This is a gorgeous blue. These purples are similar to each other, so I don't quite get that. There's a nice deep black, a nice chocolatey brown. So it has a really good range of colors. Now, if you're going to go and buy a palette, a big multi-set of watercolor pans like this, be really careful. Some of them look, there might be 25 or 26 or 30 of them in the palette, but some are sort of chalky. And so you have to look, and if they look kind of chalky, that means they are chalky. So I would suggest not buying the ones that have like a whole bunch of colors, because some of those colors are really compromised and you're not going to be happy. With this basic set, I can mix a lot of colors. With mixing the yellow and this green, I can get a big range of greens. There's this deeper, almost like I guess it's kind of a deep teal that we can start to play around with. So there's a really nice range here to work with. So don't be afraid by that. Now, every one of these sets of multi-pan brushes that are on the inexpensive side always include a brush. The brush is garbage. I'm just going to tell you, the brush is garbage. So if you're going to spend any money, I would suggest getting a decent watercolor brush. And I'm talking decent, like under $10. Somewhere between $5 and $10, you can get a decent brush. And so today, I'm going to be using these brushes that I just have in my stash. One is an Artist Loft, that's Michael's hobby store brand. And this Bestie, someday I'll learn how to pronounce it, is from Jerry's Artorama. But these were given to me at some point in my history. But these are my two go-to brushes for almost all of these little cards that I do. So those are the supplies we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is, the other thing I have here that you can't see is I have 2 jars of water, one to swish out my brush to get the old paint out, and then I keep a clean jar for when I'm activating my paints. The other thing I have is a spray bottle, which I will just spray down. Here, I'll show you what I'm going to do here. To get everything activated, you want to give them everything a little schmutz, a little spray, and that'll start to get the watercolors to be watery, which is what we want with watercolor. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to freehand draw that cat onto this paper. It's probably not going to look exactly like the sketch that I showed you, but it will be close because no two of these will ever look alike, which is the beauty of original art. I also have this scratch paper here, which is the same paper I'm going to be painting on, so I can test colors over here and know that it's going to be the same from here to here. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start drawing the cat. So we're going to start with this rectangle, which is the top of the flower pot. I'm making this a little more elongated than the one I showed you in the sketch. And then my cat is really simple. He's just going to be, he or she is just going to be sitting there in the flower pot. Little triangle for a nose, indicate the eyes. And then we're going to start adding these flowers. So I'm just going to put them in roughly where I had them. I'm just indicating where they're going because the first thing we're going to do is we are going to use ink first. We're not going to go with watercolor first. So I can start to make these what they're really going to look like. I just want to make sure that my layout is balanced and it's good to go. All right, well, there you go. That's as simple as that. So I'm going to go in now and just start drawing with my pigment liner and start drawing our little kitty. Now, the one thing I know from drawing a lot of critters and faces that the expression can change really quickly with line. And I just realized that I'm just going to go with whatever the face looks like. I mean, if it's really horrible, I'll start over because you saw how long this took me to draw this. It will not take me that long to fix it. And it's just a piece of paper. We can have another one. Okay, so I'm going to start drawing and you can just watch me draw the lines. I tend to be deliberate with my lines, but I also like them to be a little bit on the hand-drawn look. I'm not a machine. No one's expecting me to be a machine. And if they were, I would use a machine to draw. And I do draw digitally with, I use Procreate, and I have a lot of coloring books for adults, and I draw most of those in Procreate because I can get a nice clean line, which is what people that like coloring books prefer. So you saw how easy that cat is. It's just really kind of making two shapes and then joining them. So I'm going to put the nose in, put the eyes. I like kind of wide set eyes. I am going to just commit to 3 whiskers. Now, the face. Okay, so I'm going to make it look a little happier. There, that looks a little happier than Mr. Cranky Face over here. So, we have a very sweet little cat, and I'm going to do a little markings on their head. And then I'm going to start coming in with the flowers. And I think every time I start a drawing, I have to make a decision. And sometimes I'll play around over here. Like, do I want a flower that looks just like that? Which I think is pretty cute. Yeah, I think that's cute. So that's what the flower we're going to use. We're going to do. So just little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I find if I count them as I'm going, I don't know what's going on in my brain, but I think my brain knows to make them even when I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, we'll pretend like that 5th one is back there. And I don't mind going over the lines, and sometimes I'll just make little marks so it looks really intentional. I'll go, oh, she meant to make that like that. Okay. You can paint this first and go over it with the lines. I'm just choosing today to do it this way, so you know that there's more than one way to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a little wonky, but so is nature. Okay, we're going to put one behind. 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just think it's some sort of connection in my brain that knows to make those even when I count them. Or maybe it's because 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Because I've drawn thousands of flowers over the years. Okay, so we have the little circle of flowers. Now I'm going to come in and put some stems down. We want those to be behind so it looks really cute. All right, and then I'm just going to add a couple of little cute little leaves. And it always looks cute when things are behind each other. So okay, I don't like that matched up there, but again, is it enough to start over with? No, it is not. Put one more here and another one right there. It's a little crowded, but there you go. Okay, so right now we have our cute little flowers and our cute little cat. Okay, I'm gonna wait just a second to have this dry, just slightly. You know, I'm gonna put a little tiny shadow under here so it looks like it's grounded. There, just like that. Just those little lines really kind of grounds your whole composition there. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this to dry and then I'm going to erase my pencil marks. And we're gonna bring our paint in. Now, one thing about painting, whether you're using expensive or inexpensive paints, is you want to always use this palette. There's a reason they give you this, and that's so that you can mix your paints over here and not going directly from your pan to the paper. When you do that, you're going to end up with mucky, especially this kind of paint. It's pretty sticky. So you want to make sure that it's nice and liquid over here before you start, before you go to the paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is do the flower pot because I'm going to want that to dry. So I'm going to go in, I think you can, here, we'll do it like this so you can see what I'm doing. So I want to get a nice blob of water. I did activate those paints, but I want to make sure that I have enough paint to, yeah, these are kind of sticky, to paint the entire thing. So I'm going to use a big puddle of this orange, which we're going to start over here. It's a pretty rich, you do need probably more paint to get enough of a decent saturation point. And then I'm going to go into this more tomato-y orange, which I really like. This is really lovely. And I switched out, and I'm using clean water. I switched out my brush and then come back in. So you can see, ooh, that's getting really rich. You can get some really deep pigments on here. Just don't be afraid to use your paints because they're inexpensive. And then I'm going to use a tiny bit of that chocolate brown, which made it quite brown, to make that terracotta color. Okay, we're still a little on the chocolatey side. I'm going to go in with the brighter orange to get that more of a terracotta look, which I think we have now achieved. We just achieved flower pot, people. Okay, so I'm going to go in and come back with my little critter. And I'm going to grab a big puddle of paint. Make sure your brush has paint on it. And just commit. And so we're just going to go in. And I like a little overhang. So I'm using basically the side of my brush and making a really loose. Okay, I think that's adorable. As we work up at the top of this design, this is going to dry, and I'm probably going to come in and put a shadow under that lip so that we know that it's very flower potty. And then I will come in later with probably a bluish gray to hit that shadow. Okay, swishing out my brush, and I think let's make a commitment on the flowers. So I think I want a nice yellowy center. And the yellow in here is fairly lemon yellow. It's a pretty cool yellow. You can see here, it's quite cool. I want a warmer yellow, so I'm going to go in with that brighter orange again and make that a little more golden. See how just a little touch of orange just made that just, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, oh, it looks like I didn't clean my palette particularly well. All right, we're going to start over with that. Details. Okay. Again, nice clean brush. Oh, you know, I'm going to switch to my smaller brush once I mix this up. So we want some nice yellow, and sometimes your paints do get contaminated. These are the paints that we use in my Sketch Cute classes. And lots of students use them, and sometimes they get quite contaminated. So I do spend a fair amount of time before class cleaning out the pans, because especially if kids have used them, not that I have anything about not that I have anything against children, but sometimes they do contaminate the paints. Okay, I think I have enough there. Actually, now that I have a nice tip on this brush, I'm not going to worry. It looks like a little fuzzball on there. And I'm just going to go in and hit these centers. And you can mix up your flowers. You can make some, be it more of a daisy shape. And I'm using the end of my brush to sort of vacuum up the excess. I'm probably going to come in later with a little darker red on that spot, but we're going to wait until everything dries. And then while those dry, when you're working with watercolor, you have to remember, like, what do I want to dry and what am I going to come back onto? So you kind of work your design around that. And I'm going to make that a gray and white kitty. I'm just going to come in with a tiny bit of the black. And again, using this as my guide. That's a little heavy. Once I vacuum it up, oh, that's a nice soft gray. Okay, maybe a little more water, just a tiny bit. And I'm going to come in and, oh, I forgot the yellow on that one. We'll come back. So cute. And vacuuming up the excess. Okay, something happened in my, what is that? Maybe there's a pencil line under there that I didn't get erased. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but there's a little weird line across his head. Again, I probably didn't erase. I don't remember putting pencil there, but we won't worry about it. It's just there. Now, the one drawback that I have noticed of this set of paints is I don't have a really good pink. So we have to go with, like, deciding that light red is pink. So I don't love this red. That's the only, there's two reds here. So this one is a little more cool. And then we have another red. It's a little warmer. I don't know which one I'm going to like more. See, that's a little bit of a warmer red because I want to put little cheeks on this kitty. So I'm going to go really, yeah, I don't love these. So that's the lesson in, okay, if you are working with these kinds of paints and you eventually want to grow into more expensive paints, buy them one color at a time. Like right now, I would probably want to have a permanent rose or a quinacridone red that has more of a, what we would consider pink. So that's just something that you can do that later. But I'm just going to add some little rosy cheeks with that, with the cooler red. And that just cutes her up a little bit. And I think we might as well have a pink nose. And I'll come back and make that pink a little heavier. Okay. I know my gray is, so I'm just going to hit that. Okay. Cool. So having said that, I think we want to do these flowers in this luscious. We're going to do a magenta and the purple. So I'm going to put some of this magenta and this purple out because I think this purple's a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Purple. This one's a little more grapey. There you go. And so I'm going to make these, do a little gradation between the two colors on these. So I'm going to mix up or get a puddle of this luscious magenta. I don't know why I love this color so much, but it's really lovely and it's nice and saturated. Again, make a commitment when you put some pigment down because you're gonna, isn't that pretty? Oof, I love that color. And then over here, I'm gonna use this purple. And you can see, using your practice, how they're going to work together. I think those are going to be really pretty. Okay, I'm good with that. So I'm not really mixing colors except for my yellows and this terracotta color. So I'm going to go in and just start hitting the tops of these flowers. And if I go over, I don't really want to go over the yellow, but if I go over the edge of the black, I love that. That makes it look like an artist did it. So yeah, I'm going to work quickly. I don't want to work too quickly because I don't want these to dry too much. Okay, we'll do that, Manny. Come back with my clean brush. Hit the purple. Oh yeah, this is cute. And just let those two marry up. I think that's just fine. And then I'll use my brush to sort of vacuum up the excess. I'm getting a little glare from my angle. Hopefully you're not. Okay. Just drag that purple over there. Oh yeah. Okay. This is cute, you guys. I can't tell you how many times I say, oh my gosh, how cute is that? Because cute has been my world for a long time. I just love this kind of art. I mean, I also paint large, abstract, really colorful, but this is my default setting. Painting cute, heartfelt art has just always been in my wheelhouse. It just makes me happy. Maybe I'm just not that deep. But when somebody sees something that I do or feels like I did something special for them, it's really a wonderful thing. I just don't know what that is. I did something there. Maybe I scratched the paper that I have that thing through there. Most people are not going to notice it, and I'm not going to fuss about it. Now we're going to come in and do the leaves. I think the purple and magenta came out really cute, very striking. But while we're at it, since I still have this terracotta, here's how I'm going to do this shadow under here. All it is a line. Boom. Can you see that? Just one swoosh of the paint across and you can see the shadow. Okay, so with a clean brush, okay, this has a lot of blue in it. The other thing is I use facial tissues as my mop-up device. I find them to be quite absorbent. Okay, so we have two greens here. This one is nice and bright. But I'm still going to add, this is where my yellow has gotten contaminated. Oops, don't do it, Ronnie. Don't touch that without a clean brush. Get that yellow in there. I think we still need more saturation. It's a little wimpy. Okay, clean brush. Go back to the green. Clean brush. Go back to the yellow. Okay. Yeah, I like that. And then we're just going to come in and hit those leaves. Oh my gosh. So cute. And we just used a couple of the colors in this paint box. There's lots more to be had. I'm going to go in and grab some of that more tealy color of green. Okay, it's a little dull for my taste right now for this, so I'm going to mop that up. And there's two greens in here. Let's try this green. Okay, that's a little better. And I'm just going to hit the insides of those leaves with that. And the mopping technique. Oh my gosh, well, we are almost done. The last thing I'm going to do is come in with a blue for this bottom shadow. And I'm just going to use just the regular, it's kind of an ultramarine. Not very heavy, just enough to read shadow. And just do a single kind of line. You can drag it out a little bit. All right, you guys. Oh my gosh. This is so cute. All right. Well, we just finished an adorable little cat card that can be used as is. It could be framed just like this. If you can find a cute little frame, probably at a thrift store because that would be my go-to place. It's just as sweet and simple as can be, and I think you guys will really enjoy doing this. You could make the cats look like your friend's cat. You could make them all single color, maybe stripe them up. Make them look like your cat, your friend's cats. It would be so cute. What a lovely little birthday gift to have their own cat in there. You could decorate the flower pot. You could make that a coffee cup. There's all kinds of ways to play with this, and I think that this came out really, really cute. Okay, so that's our project for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like and subscribe. And of course, I love to hear your comments. Oh my gosh, I've learned from you guys. I have, it's just brought me so much joy to hear how much you're enjoying these projects. So until next time, I'm Ronnie Walter, and I can't wait to see you here. And I love hearing about your projects. So thanks so much and have a lovely creative day. Take care. Bye.